3 weeks had passed since my conversation with Yuki in the parking lot. During this period, I continued to monitor the building's routine meticulously, recording every small detail, searching for the perfect gap to execute my plan. The information I had obtained from Sato about the Singapore account kept spinning in my head constantly. I knew that accessing the details of that account and the transfer records was the key to my survival. If I could prove that Takeshi Asakura was bribing government officials, judges, and prosecutors, I would have enough to protect myself. But the problem was how to access this information. I was certain it was kept somewhere in Takeshi's office, perhaps in his personal safe or on a computer protected by complex passwords. On Friday morning, the opportunity I had been waiting for came. Kenji announced in the morning meeting that Takeshi would be leaving the city for 2 days to attend an important meeting with leaders of other Yakuza families in Kyoto. He would take with him most of the guards and senior officials, including Kenji himself. "The offices will be almost empty," Kenji said, "but don't think this means you can relax. Work continues as usual. Anyone who misuses the boss's absence will face dire consequences." He looked directly at me as he said this. It was a clear warning, but I had already decided this was my only chance. That evening, after Takeshi and his entourage left for the airport, I stayed in my office working until a late hour. Most of the employees had left and only a few guards remained doing routine patrols. I waited until 11 o'clock at night. The guard's next patrol would be at midnight, giving me almost a full hour. I left my office quietly and headed toward Takeshi's office on the 20th floor. My heart was pounding hard and my palms were sweating. I knew what I was doing could cost me my life. I reached the massive door of the boss's office. It was locked, of course, but I had borrowed a key from Sato's office earlier. He had a backup copy of most of the important keys in the building. I opened the door carefully and entered. The office was dark, lit only by the city lights coming from the massive windows. I closed the door behind me and turned on a small flashlight I was carrying. The office was more luxurious than it appeared during my previous visit. Expensive art paintings on the walls, ancient samurai swords displayed in glass cases, and Persian rugs covering the floor. I headed directly toward the massive wooden desk. Behind it on the wall was a large painting of a Japanese dragon. I was betting that the safe was behind it. I moved the painting gently, and indeed I found a modern electronic safe installed in the wall. It needed a 6-digit code. I sat on the floor in front of the safe and started thinking. What could the code be? I tried some obvious dates: the founding date of the family, Takeshi's supposed birth date. Nothing worked. I knew I had a limited number of attempts before triggering the alarm system. I had to think smartly. Then I remembered something. One time when I was in Sato's office, I saw an old photo on his desk, a photo of Takeshi as a young man, standing in front of a temple. There was a number on the temple gate, 1947. I asked Sato about it and he said it was taken at the temple where Takeshi first took the Yakuza oath. I tried the number, 1947. Then I added 2 other numbers I remembered from Takeshi's file, 2, 3, the last 2 digits of his birth year, 194723. I heard a clicking sound and the safe opened. I felt a wave of relief and fear at the same time. I had succeeded in the first step, but the dangerous part had just begun. Chapter 2. The Buried Secrets. I opened the safe door slowly. Inside I found several things: expensive jewelry, large amounts of cash in different currencies, a fake passport, and a gun. But what I was looking for was none of these things. I searched further and found in the back of the safe a small leather-bound folder and a USB drive. I carefully took out the drive and the folder. I opened the folder first. It contained documents, copies of bank transfers, contracts, and photos. I began flipping through them quickly, my heart racing madly. There were details about the Singapore account, the account number, the bank, and the names of beneficiaries. I saw Takahashi's name, the prosecutor Sato had mentioned, and transfers of huge amounts to his account. But he wasn't the only one. There were other names: judges, police officials, politicians. Dozens of names. Each one had received bribes from Takeshi over the years. This was much bigger than I had imagined. Takeshi wasn't just a gang leader, he had a network of corruption extending across all levels of the Japanese government. Then I saw something that made my blood freeze. There was a document bearing a familiar name, Kenji Sakamoto, but not the Kenji I knew, rather his father. The document indicated that Kenji's father was a senior police officer and had been receiving bribes from Takeshi since the 80s. And there was a photo, an old photo of Takeshi and Kenji's father, shaking hands and smiling. On the back of the photo, written in handwriting, "Partners Forever 1985. I understood now. Kenji wasn't just an ordinary member of the family, he was the son of one of Takeshi's most important allies. This explained why he was the boss's right-hand man at a relatively young age. But there was another paper folded and hidden at the bottom of the folder. I opened it carefully. It was a death certificate. Name of deceased, Kenji Sakamoto Sr. Date of death, March 15, 2003. Cause of death, suicide. But there was a handwritten note in the margin in Takeshi's own handwriting. He knew more than he should. There was no other choice. My heart stopped for a moment. It wasn't suicide. Takeshi had killed Kenji's father because he knew secrets that should have remained buried. And suddenly I understood something else. Did Kenji know the truth about his father's death? And if he didn't know, what would happen if he found out? This was very dangerous information. More dangerous than I had imagined. I took out my phone and started photographing every paper, every document, every photo. I needed copies of all this. It took about 20 minutes, and every second I felt like someone might enter and catch me. Then I took the USB drive and inserted it into Takeshi's laptop on his desk. I opened it and found encrypted files, but one file was unprotected, a video file. I opened the video and my heart nearly jumped out of my chest. Chapter 3. The horrific video. The video was filmed by a surveillance camera from a high angle in a room that looked like a warehouse. The image quality was moderate but clear enough. In the video, I saw a middle-aged man wearing a suit, his hands cuffed and tied to a chair. He was bleeding from his face, clearly having been beaten. And in front of him stood Takeshi Asakura, about 20 years younger but easily recognizable. "Takahashi-san," Takeshi said in a cold voice. "I told you to forget the case. I told you I would take care of you. But you decided to be a hero. You decided to go to the press." The tied man Takahashi, the prosecutor, raised his head with difficulty. "You won't get away with this. My colleagues know. If something happens to me..." Takeshi laughed. "Your colleagues? You mean those who have been taking my money for years? No one will ask about you, Takahashi. You're a fool who thought he could fight the system." Then Takeshi pulled out a gun. I couldn't continue watching. I stopped the video before seeing the inevitable ending. I felt nauseous. This was evidence of murder, not just bribery or money laundering, but direct murder of a government official. I quickly copied the file to my phone. Its size was large and took several minutes to copy. Every second I expected someone to enter and see me. Finally, the copying finished. I closed the computer, put the documents and drive back in the safe exactly as they were, and closed it. I returned the painting to its place and looked around to make sure I hadn't left any trace. Then I heard a sound, the sound of footsteps in the hallway approaching the office. I froze in place, my heart beating so hard I was sure the approaching person would hear it. I looked around, searching for a place to hide. There weren't many options. I rushed behind a heavy curtain beside one of the large windows, trying to make myself as invisible as possible. I heard the office door open, then the lights turned on. From behind the curtain, I saw two people enter. One was a guard and the other, it was Yuki. "Are you sure you want to enter the office?" the guard asked in Japanese. "The boss is away and he left instructions." "I know," Yuki said firmly. "But I forgot something here earlier. It won't take more than a minute." The guard hesitated, then nodded. "All right, but hurry." Yuki entered the office and the guard waited at the door. She began searching on the desk, checking the drawers, looking under papers. She was searching for something specific. Then suddenly she stopped. She looked toward the window, toward the curtain I was hiding behind. "You can wait outside," she said to the guard. "This might take a few more minutes." "But Mrs. Yuki, I am the boss's special friend," she said in a sharp tone. "I don't think I need a personal guard in his office. Wait outside." The guard hesitated, then bowed slightly and left, closing the door behind him. As soon as he left, Yuki turned toward the curtain. "You can come out now, Marwan," she said in a calm voice. Chapter 4. The Confrontation. I emerged from behind the curtain slowly, my heart racing madly. How did she know I was here? Yuki looked at me with an unreadable expression. "You're a fool, a stupid fool. How did you know?" "Because I've been watching you for weeks," she said. "I thought you would try something like this. I was just waiting to see when—" I felt coldness wash over me. "Will you tell Takeshi?" She was silent for a moment, then approached me. "That depends." "Depends on what?" "On what you found in the safe." I looked at her cautiously. "Why do you want to know?" She smiled a sad smile. "Because I'm also looking for a way out of this cage." I didn't understand. "But you're his special friend. You're in a position of power." She laughed a bitter laugh. "Position of power? I'm a prisoner, Marwan. A prisoner in a golden cage. Takeshi doesn't love women, he owns them. I'm not his friend, I'm his property." She sat on the edge of the desk, and for the first time I saw genuine exhaustion in her eyes. "I've been with him since I was 18, she continued. "My family was indebted to him. When they couldn't pay their debts, he took me instead. At first I worked in one of his clubs, deceiving customers and robbing them. Then he noticed me. He said I was special, and so I became his." She looked at me. "Everything I do, every person I deceive, every operation I execute, all of this because he orders me to. I have no choice. If I try to escape, he'll kill my family. He has his men watching them always." I felt unexpected sympathy for her. I had hated her all this time, thought she was a heartless criminal. But she was also a victim trapped in the same web that trapped me. "So what do you want?" I asked. "I want to be free," she said quietly. "I want to save my family and escape from this life. But I can't do it alone. I need something I can use against Takeshi. Something powerful enough to force him to let me go." I looked at her for a long time, trying to decide if I could trust her. This could be a trap. Maybe she was just pretending to find out what I knew, then tell Takeshi. But there was something in her eyes, genuine desperation, that made me decide to gamble. "I found things in the safe," I finally said. "Documents, photos, a video, evidence of bribes, corruption, and murder. Things that could put Takeshi in prison for the rest of his life." Her eyes widened. "Did you copy them?" I took out my phone. "Everything is here." She extended her hand. "Show me." I hesitated, then showed her some photos and documents. I saw genuine shock on her face as she browsed through them. "My God," she whispered. This is bigger than I imagined. Did you know about all this?" She shook her head. "I knew Takeshi was corrupt, but I didn't know to this extent. All these people, all this corruption." Then she saw the frozen video image where Takeshi was holding the gun. "Is this the murder of Takahashi?" "The prosecutor," I answered. "Full video." She closed her eyes as if trying to absorb all this. Then she opened them and looked at me sharply. "We need to work together," she said. "You alone can't use this information. If you try, Takeshi will find you and kill you before you reach any authority. I can help you, but I need something from you in return." "What do you want?" "I want a copy of everything," she said. "And when the right time comes, we'll use it together to bring down Takeshi, but in a way that ensures our safety and survival." She was proposing an alliance. But could I trust her? Was this an elaborate trap? I looked into her eyes, searching for any sign of deception, but all I saw was desperation and hope, the same feelings that filled me. I decided to trust her. I had no other choice. "All right," I said, "but I have one condition." "What is it?" "When all this is over, when Takeshi falls, I want you to compensate me for everything you stole from me. Every single yen." She smiled a slight smile. "If we succeed in bringing down Takeshi, we'll have enough money to compensate you 100 times over." I extended my hand. "Then we have a deal." She shook my hand. "We have a deal." In that moment, I felt for the first time since arriving in Tokyo that I had a real chance to get out of this nightmare alive. But I didn't know that the worst was yet to come. Chapter 5. Revealing the biggest secret. In the following days, Yuki and I began working together in complete secrecy. She would provide me with information about Takeshi and Kenji's movements, and I would analyze the documents I had obtained, searching for the optimal way to use them. But there was one piece of the puzzle still missing. The documents and video were damning evidence of Takeshi's crimes, but I felt there was something bigger, something deeper I hadn't discovered yet. The answer came from an unexpected source. One evening, while I was working in the warehouse, Yoshida approached me, the old man who taught me lock-picking. He looked tense, looking around cautiously. "Marwan-san," he whispered, "can we talk? In a private place?" I looked at him curiously. He looked truly frightened. "Of course, what's the matter?" He led me to an abandoned part of the warehouse where it was impossible for anyone to hear us. He looked around again, then said in a trembling voice, "You're in danger, great danger." "I know that," I said. "I work for a Yakuza gang. Danger is part of the job." He shook his head violently. "No, you don't understand. Kenji suspects you. I heard him talking to one of the men last night. He thinks you're spying and that you're looking for something that can be used against the family." My blood froze in my veins. "Did he tell Takeshi?" "Not yet. He wants to be sure first, but he ordered his men to watch you closely. All your movements, all your conversations, everything." I cursed to myself. I thought I had been careful, but apparently it wasn't enough. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked Yoshida. "Aren't you afraid they'll find out?" The old man looked at me with sad eyes. "Because I've seen many things in my life, young man. I've seen good men die because they stood up to Takeshi. You're young. You have a whole life ahead of you. I don't want to see another unnecessary death." He put his hand on my shoulder. "But you should know something else, something that might help you." "What is it?" He took a deep breath. "I've been working for the Asakura family for over 40 years. I saw Takeshi rise from a small member to family leader. I saw all the blood that was spilled on his way to the top." He paused as if gathering his courage to say what he wanted to say. "In the late 90s, there was a man named Hiroshi Asakura, the previous leader of the family. He was a harsh man, but he respected some rules. He had one son named Kazu. Kazu was supposed to inherit the family when Hiroshi retired. But Takeshi was ambitious. He was Hiroshi's right-hand man, and he wanted power for himself. In 1998, Hiroshi died in a mysterious car accident. Then 2 months later, Kazu disappeared. His body was never found. I felt chills run through my body. "You mean Takeshi?" Yoshida nodded. "Killed them both. No one can prove it, but everyone knows. Takeshi took over the family by force and deception, but there's a secret no one knew." He moved closer and lowered his voice to a barely audible whisper. "Kazu wasn't alone when he disappeared. A small girl was with him, his daughter. She was only 3 years old. Everyone thought she died with him, but I know the truth. What happened to her? One of the men loyal to Kazu saved her and hid her. He raised her as his own daughter, away from Tokyo, away from all this world. He changed her name, her identity, everything. He was protecting her from Takeshi. Why are you telling me this?" Yoshida looked at me seriously. "Because that girl is now a woman, and she has returned to Tokyo working in the family without anyone knowing her true identity." My heart nearly stopped. "Who is she?" "Yuki." I felt as if the ground slipped from under me. "Yuki is the daughter of Kazu Asakura, the legitimate heir to the family. Takeshi killed her grandfather and father and took what should have been hers. And now she's with him, not knowing who she really is, living with the man who destroyed her family. Does she know?" Yoshida shook his head. "No. The man who raised her died 2 years ago without telling her the truth. Maybe he was afraid, or maybe he wanted to protect her from knowledge. But I know the truth because I was Kazu's friend. I was with him when his daughter was born." He took out from his pocket an old faded photo. "I've kept this all these years." I took the photo and looked at it. It was a photo of a young man holding a small child. The man was smiling proudly and the child was laughing. On the back of the photo it was written, "Kazu and his daughter Yuki, 1997. The resemblance was clear. Same eyes, same smile. Yuki was indeed the daughter of Kazu Asakura. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked, my voice barely coming out. "Because I'm old and sick," Yoshida said. I won't live more than a few months. Cancer is eating my body. Before I die, I want Yuki to know the truth, and I want Takeshi to pay for what he did. He gave me the photo. Take this. There are also documents, birth certificates, records, everything that proves her true identity. I've hidden them in a safe place all these years. I'll give you the address. He wrote an address on a piece of paper and handed it to me. Use this information wisely, Marwan. It can be a weapon that destroys Takeshi, or it can be the reason for your death. The choice is yours. Then he turned and began walking away, his back bent, his steps slow. Yoshida-san, I called out to him. He turned. Thank you. He smiled, a sad smile. Don't thank me yet. You may curse me later for telling you all this. And he left, leaving me standing there holding an old photo and a piece of paper and my mind spinning at an incredible speed. Yuki was the legitimate heir to the Asakura family. This changed everything. Chapter 6. Revealing to Yuki. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on my bed thinking about everything Yoshida had said. Should I tell Yuki? How would she react? Would she believe me? And if she learned the truth, what would she do? Would she try to take revenge on Takeshi? Or would she collapse under the weight of this horrific knowledge? I decided I had to tell her. She deserved to know who she really was, but I had to be careful in how I told her. The next day, I sent her an encrypted text message. We had agreed on a simple system for safe communication. I asked her to meet me in a neutral place, away from the family's eyes. She agreed, and we arranged to meet in a public park in an area far from the areas controlled by the family. When I arrived at the park in the evening, Yuki was sitting on a bench wearing a dark coat and sunglasses despite the sun having nearly set. She was disguised, not wanting anyone to recognize her. I sat next to her. Thank you for coming. What's so urgent? She asked. Your message seemed serious. Because it is. There's something you need to know, something about your past, about your true identity. She looked at me sharply. What do you mean? I took out the old photo and handed it to her. Look at this. She took the photo and studied it. I saw confusion in her eyes. This is a man holding a child, so what? Read what's written on the back. She flipped the photo and read, Kazu and his daughter Yuki, 1997. She was silent, then looked at me. This is my name, but that doesn't mean… Yuki, I interrupted gently. The man in the photo is Kazu Asakura, son of Hiroshi Asakura, the previous leader of the family, and the child he's holding is you. She laughed a nervous laugh. This is ridiculous. I'm not… My father was an ordinary man. He died when I was young. I have no relation to the Asakura family. The man who raised you wasn't your biological father, I said quietly. He was a man loyal to Kazu. He saved you when Takeshi killed your real father and raised you as his daughter to protect you. No, she said, her voice trembling. This isn't true. You're making up stories. Yoshida told me everything, I said. And there are documents, your real birth certificates, records, everything that proves your identity. I can show them to you. She suddenly stood, the photo falling from her hand. Why are you doing this? Why are you telling me these lies? I also stood and held her shoulders, looking directly into her eyes. Because they're not lies, Yuki. You are the daughter of Kazu Asakura. You are the legitimate heir to the family. And Takeshi, the man you live with, the man who you serve, is the one who killed your family and took what should have been yours. I saw tears gathering in her eyes. No, this can't be true. I know this is difficult. I know this destroys everything you thought you knew about yourself, but you need to know the truth. She fell to her knees, crying. All the walls she had built around herself, all the strength she had pretended to have, collapsed in a moment. I sat next to her and held her hand, giving her space to cry, to absorb all this. After several minutes, she raised her head, her eyes red. If this is true, if Takeshi really killed my father and grandfather, then You now know the truth, I said, and now you must decide what to do with this knowledge. She looked at me, and in her eyes I saw something new, not just sadness or anger, but harsh determination. I want to destroy him, she whispered. I want to destroy Takeshi Asakura and reclaim what is mine. I smiled despite everything. Then we want the same thing. But how? She asked. He's powerful, protected. He has an army of men. We have something he doesn't know we possess, I said. We have the truth, we have proof of his crimes, and we have you, the legitimate heir to the family. I took out my phone and showed her copies of the documents and photos I had obtained from Takeshi's safe. I saw her face harden as she looked at the evidence of his crimes. We have everything we need to bring him down, I said. But we must be smart. If we move too quickly, he'll kill us. We must plan carefully. She wiped her tears and looked at me with cold, determined eyes. Then let's plan. Let's plan to bring down the man who destroyed my life before I was born. In that moment, I knew everything had changed. Yuki was no longer just a convenient ally. She was now a warrior driven by revenge and justice. And I, the broke foreigner who came to Tokyo as a naive tourist, had now become part of a war that would determine the fate of one of the most powerful Yakuza families in Japan. Chapter 7. The Conspiracy. The following weeks were filled with meticulous planning and secret movements. Yuki and I met several times, always in different places, always careful of any surveillance. We went together to the address Yoshida had given me. It was a small apartment in a quiet neighborhood rented under an alias. There we found a small metal box hidden under the floor. We opened the box and found what Yoshida had promised. Yuki's original birth certificate bearing the name Yuki Asakura, family photos, documents proving Kazu was her father, and a handwritten letter from the man who raised her explaining everything. Yuki read the letter while crying silently. The man's words were full of love and regret, love for her as a daughter even if she wasn't of his blood, and regret for not telling her the truth before he died. He was protecting me, she whispered. Until the end, he was protecting me. Now we had everything we needed, proof of Takeshi's crimes and proof of Yuki's true identity. But the question was, how do we use this? We couldn't go directly to the police. Takeshi had officers in his pocket and we would be killed before reaching the police station. We couldn't go to the press. It would be easy for Takeshi to buy them off or threaten them. We needed a more complex plan. We must strike him from the inside, Yuki said in one of our meetings. We must destroy the base of his power before we expose him publicly. How? Kenji, she said, and he's Takeshi's right-hand man. If we can turn him against the boss, it will create chaos in the family. I remembered the document I had seen in Takeshi's safe, the document about Kenji's father and how he committed suicide after he knew more than he should. I have something that could help us with Kenji, I said, and told her about the document. Her eyes widened. If we tell Kenji that Takeshi killed his father, he'll want revenge, I completed. But we must be careful. Kenji is very loyal to Takeshi. If we don't convince him properly, he'll tell the boss and we'll die. Then we must make sure the evidence is irrefutable, Yuki said. We spent days preparing. I gathered all the documents related to Kenji's father, printed them, arranged them in a way that told the complete story. Yuki used her connections to get additional information about that period. We discovered that Kenji's father, Sakamoto Sr., was indeed a respected police officer before entering into a relationship with Takeshi. At first they were small bribes, then they developed into a deep partnership in corruption. But in 2003 something happened. Sakamoto began to feel guilty and wanted to get out of this relationship. He threatened to reveal everything if Takeshi didn't let him go. Instead, he committed suicide at his home. Kenji was 16 years old at the time. We must choose the right moment, I told Yuki. A moment when Kenji is emotional, weak, susceptible to influence. A few days later, that moment came. Chapter 8. Turning Kenji. It was the anniversary of Kenji's father's death. I had learned through my careful observation that Kenji, despite his cruelty, visited his father's grave every year on this day. He would go alone, without guards, in the early morning hours. Yuki and I decided this was the right moment. On the morning of that day, I went to the cemetery and waited. The weather was cold and fog covered the gravestones, giving the place a ghostly atmosphere. I saw Kenji enter the cemetery carrying a bouquet of white flowers. He was wearing a simple black suit, and for the first time he looked like an ordinary human instead of a cold killer. He headed to his father's grave and knelt, placed the flowers, and remained silent for several minutes. I saw his lips move. He was whispering something, Perhaps a prayer or perhaps an apology. This was the right time. I emerged from my hiding place and approached him slowly. He noticed me when I was several meters away and turned quickly, his hand automatically going to the gun hidden under his jacket. "You," he said angrily. "What are you doing here?" "I came to tell you something about your father," I said calmly. "Something you should know." "Don't you dare mention my father," he shouted, pulling out the gun and pointing it at me. I raised my hands. "I know how he really died." He stopped, the gun still pointed at me. "He died by suicide, everyone knows that." "No," I said, "he didn't commit suicide, he was killed. And I know who killed him." I saw something change in his eyes, a mixture of anger and curiosity. "You're lying." I slowly took out a folder from my coat. "These are documents from Takeshi's own safe. Read them yourself. If you move one step—" "I won't move," I said. "I'll put the folder here on the ground and move away. You can read it or not, but if you really care about your father's memory, you'll want to know the truth." I placed the folder on the ground and retreated several steps. Kenji remained standing for long moments, the gun still pointed at me. Then slowly he bent down and picked up the folder, not lowering the weapon. He opened it and began reading. I saw his face change gradually from doubt to shock to horror. He read the documents one after another. He read about the bribes, about the partnership between his father and Takeshi, about how his father wanted to repent and withdraw, and about how Takeshi refused. Then he reached the note written in Takeshi's handwriting. He knew more than he should. There was no other choice. The gun fell from his hand. He knelt again, the documents scattered around him and his face buried in his hands. He was crying. Kenji, the cold killer, Takeshi Asakura's right-hand man, was crying like a child. I slowly approached him and sat next to him, giving him space for his grief. "I lived my whole life," he said in a choked voice, "thinking my father was a coward, that he couldn't bear the guilt, so he killed himself. I hated him for leaving me. And all this time, it was Takeshi who killed him. And I was working for him," he continued, his voice trembling with anger. "I served him, I killed for him, I gave him my life, and the man who killed my father—" He looked at me with red eyes. "Why did you tell me? You could have used this against me." "Because we now want the same thing," I said. "We want to see Takeshi fall." "Who is we?" At that moment, Yuki emerged from her hiding place and approached us. She had witnessed everything from afar, ready to intervene if necessary. Kenji looked at her in surprise. "Yuki, you're part of this?" She sat in front of him. "I have my own story with Takeshi, Kenji. A story darker than you imagine." And she told him everything. About her true identity, about how Takeshi killed her father and grandfather, about how he took over the family that should have been hers. Kenji listened in silence, shock upon shock. When she finished, he remained silent for long minutes. "So everything was a lie," he finally said. "The family I gave my life to, the man I considered a father, everything was built on betrayal and murder." "Yes," I said, "and that's why he must fall, but we can't do it without you." He looked at me sharply. "What do you want from me?" "We want your help," Yuki said. "You have access to Takeshi's secrets, to his operations, to his men. With your information and help, we can strike him from inside and outside at the same time. And what do I get in return?" "Revenge," I said simply. "A chance to avenge your father." He thought for a long time, looking at his father's grave, then at us. "All right," he finally said, his voice cold and decisive. "I'll help you. But when the time comes, I want to be the one who finishes Takeshi. I want to look into his eyes when he realizes who betrayed him." "You have that," Yuki said. And so, in a cold cemetery on a foggy morning, our three-way alliance was formed. The broke foreigner, the hidden heir, and the traitorous right-hand man, three broken people united by one goal: to bring down one of the most powerful Yakuza men in Japan. But Takeshi Asakura wasn't a man easy to bring down, and we were about to discover that he was planning something much bigger than we had imagined.